I'm Adam Day Lewin. I am the Creative Director for Hearst Publications UK and I live in Dulwich, South London. I've worked on campaigns for clients such as Nike, Unilever, Ford, HSBC, Diesel, Rolex. My main part of my job is to make other people's ideas work even better. I think I'm good at what I do because I genuinely enjoy what I do.
Tell me about your childhood, where you grew up, what your parents were like, what you were like as a kid, all of that.
Quite an interesting background. One of four boys. We all do very different things. We're all encouraged from a very young age to do what we wanted if we showed interest in anything.
What about at school? What kind of kid were you like?
I didn't pay attention. I wasn't interested in authority, and I guess I saw one of my school teachers actually, and my first reaction was to apologise.
Can you think of any sort of words of wisdom or advice that was passed on to you as you were growing up that stuck with you?
Yeah, well, just work hard. If you work hard, then you'll win. And also enjoy what you do because, you'll work most of your life, so you've got to enjoy it.
Actually, talking about your career, can you tell me a bit about where you started and then you became a musician?
Yeah, started off as a musician and then from there ended up being quite good, and people decided they'd pay me to be a musician, and I started as a session musician, played with a lot of dance acts, and then from being a musician, eventually I had to go and have some kind of education because my parents said it was important. So I went to drama school. So from there, I then, decided I'd go to London. But after leaving, because that was in Guildford, after leaving drama school, so I went to London and ended up falling into the club scene, which at the time was kind of just starting to explode. This was kind of sort of in the 90s. Ended up opening a club called the Dog Star, which is in Brixton, and it was the first of those clubs in London, a bar that had a DJ in it. There was a place called the Bug Bar, and then opened Mass, which was the big church in the middle of Brixton, and did some huge club nights in there. It was a massive club, but terrifying to fill every week. I found myself, in a situation where I'd been injured. I had an injury to my arm, so playing drums, the session work, just wasn't there because I couldn't do it anymore. I'd been touring and I'd been playing kind of, constantly. So I had an injured arm, and which then led to tendinitis. So I couldn't play drums anymore. So that was one way of making money gone. And
was this a really sad time for you?
Yeah, it was awful because all of a sudden, I'd gone from earning an awful lot of money as a musician, club promoter. I then had an injury which isn't repairable, so I couldn't do what my first passion was, which was playing drums. And I thought, what else do I know how to do? And so I realised I had to reinvent myself.
How many times do you think you've reinvented yourself?
Oh, about 3 or 4 times. You have to do it. It's part of life. I think it breaks your life up into these really cool chapters.
What's the next chapter?
The next chapter, well, I think I'm just starting it, to be honest with you. I was the creative director for a big agency called Mindshare for quite a few years. I went in there as a filmmaker, but ended up as a creative. But then I moved into publishing, so I went to Condé Nast, which is an old school publisher. Really, it's no secret to know that they were very late to digital. So I went in as their creative director for digital. And it was interesting, and now I'm about to go to Hearst, which is the other big publisher. So they're Elle and Esquire and all those, and they are really embracing digital. So yeah, it's going to be sort of interesting to be the new kid at school again.
How do you keep energised by your job?
I was given a piece of advice years ago, which I really like, which is if you go into work and someone says to you, "Adam, how are you?" You go, "I'm fucking great, thanks very much. I'm great, thank you."
What do you think the secret to your success has been?
I think the one thing that I learned from a really young age is I don't have wealthy parents. I'm not from, a kind of a fortunate back. Well, I am. My parents were teachers, but I didn't have the bank of mum and dad to fall back on. I always had to earn money. If I wanted to live in London and I didn't want to go back to live in rural Suffolk where they are, then I had to do something. And I learned very quickly that blagging. I mean, I've felt like I'm on the blag for years. Every time I do anything, I think I'm blagging it. But I guess the fact of it is actually I'm now just doing it. But
you've become the very thing.
I've become the thing that I've been blagging. But
yeah.
I think everything. I think a blag is good. So, for instance, if you go, somebody asks me if I can do something, I just go, yeah, of course I can.
What's your definition of success?
I think success is if you do something and you're genuinely proud of it. That thing where you can show your mum and say, yeah, look, I made that. I don't think it's about money at all. I mean, I'm all about the scrapbook, not the checkbook. I do what I do because I love what I do.
What pressures would you say come with being successful?
I think failure, we all fail like at some times, but then you just keep going. Failure doesn't mean that you stop doing the thing that you're doing. You don't just stop it because you failed once. That's not like, racing drivers don't quit when they don't win a race.
I've got a quote from you. As a creative, you're saying, one day I might grow up when the true naivety that makes a creative tick curls up in a corporate flame. Do you want to maybe talk about that a bit?
Do you know what? It's great at the moment. The world of creative is I think it's the most interesting it's ever been, because there is so many new jobs coming up for creatives now. Being creative is great, but curling up in a corporate flame is when when people are kind of business as usual. It should never be business as usual. It should be, that's the worst thing that you can do. Keep pushing, keep doing something different. Do something that challenges your clients. Make them think differently. Say why all the time. I just think that the advertising world at the moment, you've got short form content, which is here, which is quick, which is nimble, which is based on data. You've got long form content, which is over here, which is stuff that is I don't know, a show on Netflix or film or that kind of thing. Then you've got all this mush in the middle, which is just pointless. I mean, it is. I mean, I think advertising, ad agencies, for example, I think that they have to change massively or die.
So what do you do when you hit a creative wall? Or do you ever?
Yeah.
And?
Walk.
Okay.
I'm in an environment, you sit in an office, you're sat there and everybody's kind of staring at you because you're the creative going, so what are we going to do?
Have an idea, make it big but also safe.
Yeah, exactly. And so, I walk for like 20 minutes.
You people
and
watch.
Yeah, I just walk around and I just think, and then it's easy because you need to not have people asking you stuff. I walk and then sometimes I don't try and force it,
Yeah.
I just kind of, let it sit in my head for a little bit,
And where would you say you get your main source of inspiration?
Just people on the street. I love watching, I love film, art, music. There's always something there. Like just looking at something that somebody else has done can often inspire. Like a line in a book, you can suddenly go, whoa, that just makes so much sense.
Do you have any regrets? Is there anything that if you could go back in time you would do differently?
Yeah, I think I would have sort of grabbed the ball by the horns with what I'm doing now a lot sooner. But I think when I started, I was kind of intimidated by the creative process because I thought there was a process. I really thought there was rules to it. But now I've found out that creative directors don't have to have been a graphic designer, a design director to be a creative director. You just have to be creative. I wish I hadn't just thought that there was, some kind of dark art to being a creative, because there's not. You just need to have lots of ideas.
Do you have a vision for your future? As in the next 10 years, what do you see?
More children. I'm going to have more children. I would love to, I'm really excited about Hearst, which is my new job. I think that the magazine industry is exciting. I think that some magazines are going to be a bit like vinyl, now, people, now collect records. I think certain magazines are never going to go out of print, even though they're talking about print dying. And then I don't know. I mean, like reinvention is all about like stumbling upon something that you love. Perhaps I'm going to go and make a Hollywood movie.
I bet you do as well. Can I be in it?
Yeah, sure.
I'd love that. Just as myself.
As yourself?
Yeah, I'm just there.
Cameo. Who knows?
That's why I think you're so successful. It's because you see the possibilities in everything around you. Everything for you seems to be an opportunity. Like, that doesn't worry you where you might be in 5 years' time. You just know you'll end up doing something great.
I'll do something that, I'll do something that I that I love for sure. I mean, you've got to enjoy it. But you never know. This is the thing, like in 5 years' time, who knows what I'm going to be doing. But
does anything scare you?
oh yeah, of course it does. Yeah, I mean, I'm a creative, so I'm quite sensitive.
Yeah.
Like I overthink everything. But at the same time, I think I see opportunity, and if it comes along, then I grab it. I'm not scared to do that now, and I think that's what I learned, is that if something like that comes along, just grab it and do it. Sometimes it's just about having the confidence just to stand up and say something. Like when I meet people all the time who want to be creative, but they don't talk. They're scared to say their first idea. You sit in a room in a brainstorm and everyone's sat looking like that, and I just start by saying stupid things, because if I say something ridiculous, then they know that they can say something that is better than what I've just said, and then that way everybody gets comfortable. Then you can say anything. So it's about encouraging people to talk in those meetings, because so many times I'm sure you've sat there and you're like, I'm not going to say anything, I've got an idea, but I don't think I should say anything, it's stupid.
Most of my ideas are still up here because I'm just too scared to share them.
Yeah. I like your shoes, by the way.
Oh, thanks very much. Look how big my feet look, though.
You've got a tiny bit of dirt on the end.
I know, Robin did that. This is what I'm insecure about, the size of my feet.
What size are your feet?
They're a 7.
My wife's a size 9.
Brilliant. Done.
Yeah.
My work is done.